Well, I think the next step, now that we just read the data, is maybe try to interact with the data. And I think before we move to editing the data, which is a little bit more complex, maybe we can show how to delete the data. What do you think?
Yes, yes, it's a first interaction with the data. Let's go
Hmm.
slower. So I'm going to add an icon inside here and delete icon. So it's going to delete the data from the data source. Okay, so with something clicked here inside the gallery, I'm going to go to icons and then find the trash icon in here. If you don't find, you can add any icon. For example, I'm going to do this. I'm going to click on cancel, add the icon and position it. And then here in the right, we can type to search. So it's easier to find because there are several icons. It's easier here. So just type trash and we can see the icon here, just select. Now there are two approaches we could do. One is delete right away after the user clicks. Uh, it may be a little danger. What if the user is curious or he doesn't know what he's doing or clicking? It will delete, so there is no way to recover, at least inside the app. In SharePoint there is, but we are supposing the user is going to do everything in the app. And the other option is to create a confirmation pop-up. So there are these two approaches. We can delete first directly and then create this pop-up. That's another thing we can teach because then a pop-up is very useful in a lot of apps. But let's delete first and then do the pop-up. So with the icon selected, I'm going to go to the onSelect property. So this is the first time we are seeing this function. Uh, a lot of the items have also this function and is what the app is going to do when we click in that element. In this case, it's calling select parents. That means it will select the gallery. It select the gallery item. Uh, right, Leo? It's I think this one. It's like clicking in the gallery or
Yeah,
clicking
yeah,
in the item.
yeah. I have to to say I'm sorry because someone here was asking for my attention, and I had
Oh,
to get this
let's
guy.
go. Let's go. But
Yeah, yeah.
so cute.
He was at my feet all the time.
Yes, he wants to help too. So
Yeah.
let him help.
Yeah.
Great.
Sorry, what was the question again, really?
Oh, the question was, what does this select parent do? Because all the items we insert inside
Yeah.
the gallery calls this function.
Hmm. Yeah. So we have this parent concept on Power Apps. So if we look for the panel on the left, right, where we can see this tree structure, we see that some objects are underneath other objects. So for instance, inside of the gallery, we have icon and we have labels and so on and so forth. So we can reference the parent object like we are seeing on the gallery. And when we do that, we trigger the action of the parent instead of the object itself. And this is very useful because instead of repeating the same formula for all of the objects, I can use the formula for the parent control and make all of the objects that are child trigger this same formula.
Right. So, for example, if all of them have the select parent, it's the
Hmm.
same as if I go to the gallery and put some action in the onSelect because they are children of the gallery. So once I click and they call select parent, it's like the user just clicked in the gallery.
Yeah.
But in this case, we want only to do a single action in this button. So only when the user clicks on this button is when I want to delete the item. So I'm going to replace this by a function called delete because I want to talk to that. I want to delete. So I want to delete from where? let me see. Delete. It doesn't show the options here, but I guess it's not delete. Sorry, it's remove. Remove.
Yeah, I was stunned because I thought, how come I never seen this formula before?
Yeah. It's remove. I want to
Okay.
remove from where? So from what's the data source I want to remove? From the asset manager, and what's the item I want to remove? So let's remember this button, this icon is inside an item. It's inside a gallery item. So I want to remove this item. So this will tell the SharePoint backend to remove this line from the list. Okay,
Hmm.
so now let's remove the smartphone X. If I click play and click here, it will call the remove from the SharePoint list. So calling remove, it's loading, and just disappeared because it's not in the list anymore. So that's
Hmm.
why I was mentioning if the user just clicks here, there's no way back unless we go to SharePoint and restore. So that's why we're
Hmm.
going to add a pop-up for confirmation. Let's go and see in SharePoint if that's true, if the item was removed. So going back to SharePoint, it's showing here because it didn't update the screen yet, the page. So once I update, it will disappear. So the item is not here anymore. But let's just restore so we don't need to create another one. I will go to recycle bin. It will be in here. And it will be in here, I think, for 30 days. I can restore. So just restored and it's back in
Hmm.
here. So it's
Nice.
back in there, but it doesn't show in here.
Hmm.
How do I make it appear here since it's back again? Is there a way for me
Hmm.
to refresh and call the new value to show here? So call all of them again.
Yeah, there's a way.
Yeah,
So
there's always.
we have guess what, a format called refresh that's going to refresh the data source. So we can leverage that to see the changes. However, you don't need to use that all over the app to make the user keep refreshing the data. Once the user get in the in the app and move to different screens, the data, of course, is going to be refreshed itself.
Yes. In this case, it's because we deleted from SharePoint and the app doesn't know,
Mhm.
but all the
Yeah.
operations we are going to do inside the app. We could force the
Hmm.
refresh, adding an icon here calling this refresh function just to show that's an option. So let's do
Hmm.
this because it's simple, and then whoever is watching will be able to will know this function too. So I'm going to go to insert icon, and we have a reload icon here that works. Note that I didn't have anything clicked, so it will insert in the app, not inside the gallery, so I can place here in the top. And then in the onSelect of the icon, or I can go here in action and click onSelect, it's easier to find, I can call the refresh function. Refresh, and what's the data source I want to refresh is the asset manager. Here just shows this one because we only have one data source added, but if we had more, it would show all the others. So selecting asset manager, closing the parentheses, let's hit play and click refresh. So once I click refresh, it just shows all the information that's in the data set. Okay, uh, so we already saw how to work with galleries, add actions from inside the gallery, delete an item. Let's do this confirmation pop-up so the user doesn't delete right after he clicks or she in this icon. Let's show the pop-up, and then once the user clicks confirm, then we delete. Okay, in order to show the pop-up, we need to build it and show only when we click in the icon. So let's do that. Let's first build, then we we will work on how to hide and show. But first, let's build. One thing that I like a lot when building extra things that I'm going to show and hide is to insert a container. A container, as the name says, is something we can place other objects inside. So I'm going to click here in this plus icon, and I can go to layouts, and we have the containers here. We have just a container, that's something we can add, drag and drop in the way we want, place in the position we want the things, or we have horizontal and vertical containers that they place things automatically and organize and align automatically. Let's get started with the easier one, that's the container, is the first I learned, and then later in the app or in another section we can use the other containers. So I'm going to click on container. It's an empty container and we can drag and drop and resize. I'm going to make it to occupy the full screen. So I'm going to make it occupy the full screen and change the color. We have a parameter here that's the color. And let's do this gray, for example, so it covers everything that's behind, because it was transparent before. So now it's in front of everything. We can see here in the tree view that the container is in front. That's why it's covering everything. We could send to back, and then it wouldn't cover. The other things would be in front of it. But in this case, once we click in the delete icon, we want it to cover everything to force the user to choose an action to confirm or cancel. Right, so here we have the container, then we can add the elements, the label asking the user, do you really want to delete? And the buttons yes and no. So first, let's rename the container as a good practice. So I'm going to click here in the container name and change to delete confirmation. Right, so now let's add, with the container selected, let's go to insert, label, it will insert a text. Let's place in the middle and change its text to, are you sure you want to delete? Are you sure you want to delete this item? We can also change font size, color, and everything else. Let's say 25. Let's center and add two buttons to confirm. So confirm or cancel. I'm going to select the container, go to insert button, place in here, and insert another button, so button, and place in here. One of them I'm going to change the text to yes, and the other to no. And now if I click on yes, I will delete the item. If I click on no, I will just hide the confirmation pop-up again. How do I show and hide things now inside the app? So we have this visible property. All the items, all the elements have these visible properties. In this case, I'm selecting the container, and here I can go to the visible and toggle on or off. If I put off, the container will hide, and everything that's inside the container will also hide, because they are children and they are inside. So if I hide the container with things inside, the things will also disappear. So here I'm hiding and showing. If I click here on visible, I can see that sets to true or false. That's what makes show or hide. But how can I do this dynamically? How can I make it show or hide when I click in the delete icon? For this, we have how is that? I just forgot the name, but variables. Variables inside the app. Variable is something I can declare. It's something I can say, this variable now it's true, now it's false. We can change its value as the app works. So let's learn how to build a variable to make the container show and disappear when we click on certain elements of the screen. In this case, let's force it true so far. and let's learn how to build a variable. Okay, we have someone commenting here in the chat. Our first person who commented, it's Isabela Azevedo. She's saying excelente vídeo, Rudy. That's in Portuguese, saying excellent video. Thanks a lot, Isabella. Thanks for watching. Thanks for participating. I'm very happy that you're here. Okay, going back, let's see how to create a variable and use inside the app. For this, I'm going to create a new screen just to make it easier to understand. Then we are going to go back to this page and use the variable after we understood. I'm going to go to Insert, New Screen. This is how we create new screens. We already have several models, but let's go with a blank one. It will create a new screen just for demonstration. And then let's learn how to create a variable. I'm going to insert a button just to click on it and call a function that creates this variable I'm mentioning and see how it works. So insert button. Here's the button. It doesn't do anything right now, but we are going to go to action, and in the onSelect property, we are going to call this function that sets the variable. So how to create a variable? There are two types of variables, locals and globals. The local variable will work only in the page we are in the app, and only the page we are playing the app. And the global variable will work throughout the app, when we want to use one and when we want to use the other. So local variables, if we need that information only inside that page, we don't need to make it global, so you cannot access in the other page. And the global is if we want to have some information that's accessible to anywhere in the app. For example, we can load when the app starts if the user is an admin, and then save in a global variable and use that variable to check if the user is an admin and to show and hide things for that user. But in this case, let's see the local variable first. So I'm going to call the function that's called update context. This will create new values that are the variables that can be used inside the app, or update existing variables. So I'm going to open the function, then open the brackets and state the name of the variable. So in this case is, for example, lock true false. It's a variable called lock true false. I'm calling lock because it's a local variable, since I can access only inside this screen. And I'm going to add these two dots and say that it's true. True. And just closing the brackets. So now if I click, it will create this variable lock true false with the value true. Let's show this variable somewhere so we can see its value. So I'm going to insert a label, place in here, and change the text to the lock true false. So this lock true false has the value of false right now because I didn't create yet, it doesn't exist, so it comes as false by default. But if I click here, it will be true. See, just set as true. If I click here, it's still true and true again and again because we didn't do anything to change back to false or to another value. So let's create a new button to make it go back to false. Let's exit the play mode. We can copy this button with Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V, and then update this formula to false. So once I click, it will update the lock true false to false, and it will reflect here the value because we are printing the variable's value in here in this label. Let's play. So clicking this button, it will set to true, and this one will set to false, calling the update context variable, update context formula. Now I can use this variable that changes as I use the app to show or hide the pop-up in the other page. But let's show here first. Let's insert, for example, a simple object, such as a rectangle. Where is the rectangle? Here. rectangle, insert, rectangle. And then I can go to the visible of this rectangle and add the variable in the visible property. Instead of true, I can change to lock true false. So if the lock true false is true, the rectangle will show. If it's false, will disappear. So here it's true already. Once I click here, it will change to false. So the visible property here will be set to false because it's attached to a variable, and then it disappears. The rectangle is still in there, but it's just hidden because the visible is false. True, false. That's what we are going to do in the other screen to make it appear and disappear, the pop-up for the confirmation. Okay. I will ask for a 5 minutes break to get some water, and then I will be back, okay? Let me just put here in a break video. Let's see how many minutes we can add. Clips. I'm trying to find where to add this. Now we know how to show and hide things with the update context, creating local variables. Let's copy this formula and use it in the other page. If I go to the other page, so when I click on no for this pop-up, I'm going to update the variable to false. But let's change the name of the variable to lock show remove pop-up. Remove pop-up. And I just set to false. If I click on yes, that I want to remove the item, I also want to hide the pop-up, to set the variable to false. So I'm going to go to this yes button, and then in the onSelect, change to update context, lock show, the variable lock show remove pop-up will be false. And now I want to add this variable to the visible of the container. So I will select the container and add to the visible. Look who is back.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, I was using my phone and I ran out of battery. But yeah, I'm here again.
When you left, we're talking about galleries. Now we are already doing containers here. The students go fast.
Oh, the container is a big advance.
Yeah,
very important.
But we are only using that normal container just to place things inside. First introduction.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I just created the container with the confirmation pop-up, and here now instead of deleting the item right away, I'm just going to show the container. So let's remove this and paste the formula with the update context with the lock show remove pop-up and set to true, and it will make the pop-up appear. So if I hit play and I click here, so the pop-up will appear, and now once we click on yes, that we want to we are going to order the app to remove the item instead of removing directly in that button. So right now I have this only the update context, and I want to add the remove function too. We can have two functions in Power Apps. We just need to separate them by applying this semicolon. So if I add the semicolon and call another function, it will call one, then the other. So let's add the remove first, then once it's removed, it will hide the pop-up. So I'm going to paste the remove here. Oops, not this one. The remove formula, add a semicolon, and is it done, Leo? Does it work? It's showing a red line under the remove. Any comments? Why is that not working anymore? Why does it show an error here since I just pasted the formula that was inside the gallery?
Right. Yeah, because you are outside the gallery, so you can use this item. You need to access the gallery first, then you are going to get the selected item.
Yeah, so I can, for example, instead of this item, get the Go asset lists, that's the name of the gallery, dot selected. So it's the item we just clicked in the gallery, so it's selected. Then we are removing that item from the asset manager. That's one way of doing that.
Well done.
Yeah, let's see if it will work. So I just click no, just to make sure. I will click on this one to delete it, just to see which one I'm deleting. So I'm going to delete the smartphone X. Click on delete. Are you sure you want to delete? If you click yes, it will call the remove function, remove from the list, and then close the pop-up. Let's see. Yes, just remove that item. And now there is no dangers, let's say, for me to just click here and delete. So no risk. If I click here, of course I will delete it. I already did the confirmation here. I cannot keep doing one after the other, 1,000 confirmations. So okay, so I mentioned that here in the yes, that was one option, getting the item selected from the gallery, but I usually like to set to a variable when I click in the delete icon. Because in this case it's fine because it's in the same page, but if I was in another page and I was referring to an item selected in a previous page, I like to have it in a variable to not have one page depending on the other. And sometimes the app just refreshes the data in the background and the gallery loses its selection. So I like to add to a variable. And here I would, for example, instead of doing go assets lists dot selected, I would use lock asset dot selected asset, for example, selected asset. And then, of course, I need to declare this variable when I click in the item, in the delete icon. So if I go back here, I can add a new variable here called lock selected asset and say that this variable represents this item. So once I click, I will store this item information inside this variable, and then I can call the variable in the other button. Let's see if it works. I will remove this one, for example. Just clicked on this one, saved the item to a variable, and then I click here, it will delete that item. We can see the variables here in the... Go ahead, Leo. Sorry.
I said, well done.
Okay.
Good.
If we go to view and see variables, we can see those variables we created for each screen. Since they are local variables, they are available only in that screen. Here we have the lock show remove pop-up. That's false right now. That's why the pop-up is not showing. And the lock selected asset is the item we just created, is the variable we created when we clicked in the delete. And here in this table, we can see the record. So we have all the information is the item from SharePoint. Good. So now we have the gallery. We can delete items. We learned variables. We learned how to do a pop-up. It seems a lot of things for today. I think we can continue another time, Leo. What do you think?
Yeah, that's nice. We saw a lot of important and interesting concepts, and that is just the beginning. That we can go much deeper. Power Apps is a never-ending subject, and yes, I think that is a good start for today.
Good. So I'm just going to save, since it already saves automatically, I guess. I need to check in the configuration. Let's see. So settings. Here we have the I'll save every 2 minutes, so it's auto saving. Oops, do not disable. But if I want the users to see this latest version with the things I changed, I have to save and publish. See, we didn't save this app yet. We talked about saving right in the beginning and we forgot to do. So let's save.
Yeah.
If we had closed, we would lose everything.
True.
Yeah. So let's just save, publish, and once right now I don't need to publish because it's the first time I'm saving, but once I do any change, I have the publish button here. Let's see. So for example, if I change a little bit here, save again, Control S, I can publish, and then this modification will be available to the user. So I can edit as much as I want. The users won't see until I publish this version. So once I publish, it will be public for the users to see the latest version.